Welcome to Polished-ish. Polished-ish is where real stories meet real lessons. Hosts Ruma, Julianne, and Jerry share unfiltered conversations about failure, growth, and the messy beauty of life, proving that imperfection is where the magic happens. So pull up a chair, because life isn't polished, it's polished-ish. Welcome to Polished-ish, where life isn't polished and either are we. Hey, we're back!
Hi guys, it's been a couple. Good to
I
see
know.
ya.
It has been a couple weeks. Yeah, how's everybody doing?
Doing
Oh,
good.
you
Can't
know,
wait.
Good.
Can't
Always
wait for the
behind.
holidays.
Always behind. Always behind.
That's-
So Jerry, I connected you to my friend Heidi, and remember how we had talked about and it's funny because it was just her wedding anniversary. I was in her wedding. That's how long I've known her. She just had her 32nd year wedding anniversary. But I remember we were talking about how, so don't forget to follow up because she's awesome.
I know.
I-
Thank you for that. I got to follow
Oh
up.
no, of course. But the thing is, we were talking about, I mean, and I know we're kind of sniffing around for work and stuff, but it was, I don't know why it took me so long to do it, because she's an old friend, a good friend, right? No problem with the connection. But how have you been finding it? Like, when, as you're exploring new opportunities, using your network or following up with people, how's it been?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that pop out to me about the network. This time I've had off, I've started to try to reconnect with people I haven't talked to in years. I mean, some of these people I haven't talked to in 10 or 20, 12 years. And not so much for the networking of finding my next job, but just I have the time. And they were just such good friends that we spent 40 plus hours a week working together. And then now I just never talk to them. So it's been great kind of reconnecting with them and hearing about their lives and what's been happening. And some of their kids are growing up now, like mine. And it's just crazy to reconnect after all that time. So I think that's one part of networking that I've been trying to do. And the other part is like, how do I network to kind of land my next role? And that's been a little bit more challenging, so to speak.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Talk a little bit more, if you don't mind. What's challenging about it?
I think for me, and I talked to a coach about this, I said, I feel kind of guilty reaching out to somebody I hadn't talked to in a long time and say, hey, there's a job there. Do you mind referring me for it? And this coach was really good. He said, hey, if someone reached out to you and you knew them and you guys were pretty close at one point and they asked you for the same thing, would you do it? I said, oh God, absolutely. I would refer them because they're good people. And he's like, that's the way they feel about you. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out and ask. People want to help. And that was reassuring.
I was going to say quickly, I think, and this is like from a guy from the CIA, but that's actually a really good way to build rapport. And that actually advances your networking success. People do want to help. That's like a tip that they give you is if you want to have a faster bond with someone and build trust, ask them to help you. That's like a studied thing. So I wouldn't have thought about it until you just kind of mentioned that, but that's actually a strategy that people use to conquer other people. So it's nice to know, you know what I mean? It's like that actually makes some dividend. It pays a reward to the helper and then bonds them to you in a way, and they see you in a more positive light. What do you think, Ruma?
I agree. I think, mostly inherently people want to be helpful. And so sometimes we try to sort of go through it and I had to say, oh, what if, they say no? Well, it's okay if they say no, at least it may be, and, we talked about it last time. There may be boundaries that they're trying to establish. They may be very busy, but you just never know if you don't ask, right? And so don't try to overthink it. And I think going back to, you meet so many people over your professional life and in your personal life too. And it's really difficult to sort of maintain that network with everyone, but it's the interactions if they have been genuine. If you have been genuine, authentic, helpful in those interactions, people do remember that. People will remember when you have not been professional and not been nice. And people will also remember when like, oh, I remember, I have worked with her and she was great. And so when I reach out, right, then I've already built a foundation on which I'm basically asking. And honestly, like my lesson has been, don't take it personally. And they may not be able to help. But again, you never know if you don't ask.
Yeah, people always remember how you made them feel, right?
Yes.
Always. And I think you've always probably have experienced this. Someone will ping you that you haven't talked to in years and you're like, there's a funny feeling in your stomach about that person. You're like, did I like that person? Like, I don't really remember having great rapport with that person. But some people will ping you and you're like, oh my God, Nancy, it's been so long. Yeah, let's catch up. Like, because they made you feel good 10 years
Yeah.
ago and you remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Well, and
could be just,
also, no, go ahead, Rima.
I was just going to say, it could just be a social interaction with somebody. Like it could just be, how you ask them how their day was, or you just, were kind to them. Because I think this is all a part of network. Even if you meet somebody at a conference and you exchange a business card, how does that interaction take place, right? Were you open to even giving your information, or were you saying, well, that's great, I really heard your talk and it was really good? I think really does help establish a place from where you can build on.
And the thing is, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before. So Adam Grant, who's like the favorite professor in the business school at Penn with Wharton, he did a bunch of work, and the weak ties are the strongest ones. So it's so counterintuitive that when you need a favor or you're looking for professional help, you would want to go to the people you know the best, which can be difficult. But it's actually your weaker ties that are going to deliver more readily for you than the stronger. Your old close colleagues are not going to be as effective as those looser ones that you haven't talked to in 10 years. You know what I mean? That you're not, but
Mhm.
it's just such a, I'm sure, a pleasure to hear from you. And also, it's a nice favor. Like, who doesn't want to help someone else out?
So true. So Julianne, when we worked together, we kind of leveraged your Rolodex, your network, so to speak, when we were in SIG, the Site Innovation Group, and we
Yeah.
brought in a lot of different people. So how did you cultivate that Rolodex and how did you keep that network alive so that you could just pick up the phone and be like, hey, we're doing this thing, and people, Owen was like, oh no, I can't do that. They all raced to do it because of your
And do it
relationships
for
you had built with
free.
them and for free.
I mean, you know what's funny is I feel like mostly I'm not a taker, so I try to also throw things other people's way just over time, you know what I mean? Like, and I will say the big thing I've learned about being connected with people is connecting other people. So being generous with the people I know to other people makes them be generous back in other ways. So, I ask people to give a talk as long as we're flexible around when and what, you know what I mean? People are usually happy to do it. I've found. I mean, now I'm doing another TEDx here, and like I'm going to meet with NPR next week because I got a media deal with them so that they're our media partner. So they content that TED doesn't want, they get to put on their radio stations or their local radio stations,
Yeah.
which is great for me. I'm trying to talk them into letting me host the show. I'll keep you posted. But the thing is, I just reached out. I just wrote an email. The head of the thing wrote back, said, let's have breakfast. Now we're buddies. He invites me to all, NPR has stuff going on all the time. Come by the office. Let's have coffee. Great. I feel like the thing is because I don't go in with an agenda, right? It's like, I'm not coming in. I just
Mhm.
want to be friends. And then when an opportunity presents itself later, I think people get that. I'm hoping that authenticity. I don't ever have an agenda. It's always just like, I think you're so cool. Fan letters to people whose work I like, writers,
Mm,
intellectuals. I'm so, who doesn't love that stuff, man? I know how to feed the ego as well. I'm going to have to be
mm.
honest.
Feeding the ego. I get it. Yeah.
Hey, but
No,
I
what I
found
took
that.
away from that is you were just saying basically like you give as much as you take, right? And you connect and that you're a connector.
Well, and also you help people. It's like, I know someone that, so there's this guy for the TEDx and he was a musician and he knows everyone. So I invited him to be the music curator. Well, he got me into this great venue and he's doing all this stuff. Well, then he's working on this startup. I said, let me connect you to some people I know. So it's all like everyone is kind of filling each other's cups. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about, I will say, because having a big network, and right now I haven't been nurturing it as much as I should because I'm, like a farm laborer. But what I like is and you said it about the feeling. I can pretty much reach out to any of my old contacts and they get right back to me. You know what I mean? I can write and say, hey, this is going on. And another thing is just a little tip. I'm usually really brief in my emails, like a very clear subject line, one quick sentence. If I need something, hope you're doing well. Can we jump on the phone? No
Mhm.
big long, that's what people have time for. And I have found that most people are like, yeah, no problem. It's always like, sure, I can find 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. I think most inherently we want to be there to sort of help with whatever is an ask. And also we have to think about it being a reasonable kind of ask, right? And also give them a way out, like, and not hold that, because you may need to go back to them and also reciprocate that, right? It is not just a one way kind of a thing, right? Reciprocity is a very important thing in the network as you're building, right? And it can come
Yeah.
in different ways. I have people I've met even at a conference, and I'll be like, wow, I know this great restaurant, right? That is information I'm sharing that might be helpful for them. It is just not
Hmm.
professional. It is how you show up to sort of, off maybe an information that might be helpful for them. And you become memorable. Like, people will remember you, right? People will remember you for how you made them feel, but also people will remember you like, wow, that was a good interaction. I remember, and I'd love to sort of, yeah, sure, let's connect and see. It's easy in your deep networks, but it's the one which is the loser network. But often we hesitate to reach out because we don't know them, but sometimes they are the most effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also the thing is, like, one of the other things I did learn is, like, with more of my kind of high profile contacts, one of the things I try to be good about is asking permission to share contact information. Like, before I just blast out and introduce, I always say, hey, are you cool if they never say no. No one ever says no, but
Mhm.
there's something very like, I respect your time and I'd like to connect you to so and so for this. So I was like, oh, yeah, go ahead. And at least you contextualize it for them. So it's not like I'm just throwing people their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
been,
And
but
in that
also I feel
instance,
like, go ahead, go
go ahead.
rooms. No, you.
I was just going to say, in that instance, Julianne, they are still in control. They still feel like they have a say in that. And they will probably come to in a different way, right? Think about it, like somebody randomly just introduced you versus said, hey, can I introduce you? And once you do that, the chances that they will follow up with them is much higher. That connection is actually more meaningful if you have taken that permission.
Well,
Yeah, and
and
I
I,
know being on this side of the fence and like, actually, starting to look for work and trying to tap into my network. When I was working, I would get a lot of those LinkedIn requests and they were just going into a folder and I wasn't really paying much attention. But now I realize the value of those. And when I do go back to work, I will be more open to those requests and trying to help those people more because I've learned that lesson.
well, you know what's interesting? There was a woman on LinkedIn and she got canceled because someone, and she was maybe like VP, senior VP level. This was maybe when we in the around 5 or 7 years ago. And someone who was kind of new entry level, younger person had reached out to her to add her to the network. And apparently this woman sent, and I'll see if I can find the article and share it with you guys, sent her, blasted her. How dare you think you could access my network like you peon, blah, blah, blah. And of course, this tech savvy person shared it and it went viral. And the thing is that
Don't burn your
network,
bridges.
yeah, well, no, also networks are not property. These are human beings. So it's like I think about when I had the TEDx and I had this, big database of people, that's not for me to sell. That's not for me to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is a community. And
Hmm.
so that's not, I don't want to trade in that, but I'll send that to you guys because it was really interesting how I think people can get so impressed with themselves. They forget everyone needs a hand up at some point, right? Everyone,
Yeah.
and they're not going to go spamming your network. Who has time for that? You know what I mean? Like, who has time to like go through all your contacts and say, oh, I mean, it was just so unrealistic. I'm going to find that. It's funny that it made me think of that.
Yeah, I think, just building on what you just said, if we this is a human network we are looking at. And if you don't treat it as a transactional thing, treat it as a human network where, if you are only going to reach out to it, people will know that that's not genuine, and
Hmm.
they will see through it, right? So it's like, you reap what you sow. Right. And if you're going
Agree.
to invest in that network, if you're going to invest in the people who may be in your inner circle, but also maybe in the loser network, if you see somebody is getting promoted, congratulate them. Right. Doesn't take too long, but you genuinely are investing in their story. And if it comes time, they would reciprocate, but also it opens the door for you to reach out to them at some point to say, hey, because they are in your network, right? They have reached out to be in your network. So cultivate that.
And maybe we should think about it differently. Maybe it's not a network anymore. Maybe it is a community and we should treat it like a community because a community has a little bit of a different feel to it than a network.
I like that.
Correct.
I like that.
Yeah.
We are at
I
time.
like that too. It's a
Oh,
Yeah.
community building rather than a networking. And if you
no,
treat
because
it
you
that way,
are. You're nurturing it like a community
Yeah.
that you belong to, and then why would you not add more people? The more, the merrier.
So
that's right.
true. Any last minute thoughts?
I
Well,
like this conversation.
I like you are in my you both are in my community, and I'm so glad to have reconnected with both of you, and this is what's coming
Yes.
out of it. So that just is a good example of people you have met and stayed in close contact through your community, and I hope others can do the same.
Ditto.
Ditto. Love it. Hey, until next time, you guys. Good
Okay. Our sign
conversation.
off. Great. Thanks,
All
you guys
right.
so much.
Bye.
Bye.